From a traffic stop to a death stare, from a courtroom confrontation to a chilling threat against a victim's mother, the case of BK isn't done revealing its horror in full just yet. Welcome to Surviving the Survivor, everyone. This is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And of course, now under the video tab, we are bringing you several videos a week on the biggest stories trending both here in the United States and abroad. And of course, the story of the Idaho 4, Kaylee Goncalves, Maddy Mogen, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin still making headlines. STS was in Boise, a beautiful city, one that I told the COE that we might even have to move to. It was so nice. Obviously, that was the home of the Ada County Courthouse and where sentencing took place. It was not only an emotional day, but a very emotional week for a lot of people who traveled in to see that historic moment at STS. We were invited over to the IMSI as well, the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, which was very eye-opening to see how BK is going to live out the remainder of his natural life unless prison justice is somehow meted out beforehand, which is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I will just tell you, under the video tab, there is a tour that we did that has gotten quite a few eyeballs on it because it's an interesting inside look at what it is going to be like for him to again live the remainder of his natural or maybe shortened life behind bars. It is a scary place. It's austere. It's cold. It is smelly in certain areas and very lonely in other areas, and something that BK is either going to thrive in because of his odd nature and he likes to be alone, or a place that is going to literally just torture him until his days run out. But there is some newly released evidence. There is some emotional testimony that I just want to bring you up to date on, and some sinister behavior out there related to this case against the victim's family, one in particular that I'm about to tell you about. But the latest right now is all about a $10 traffic ticket. If you'll recall, in the days after these horrific murders back on November 13th, 2022, BK travels with his father back to Pennsylvania. And at that time, he's pulled over not once, but twice. So those are two traffic stops. And they kind of go unnoticed for the most part because law enforcement at that point didn't know who they were looking for. And then there's also a traffic stop, I think about a month before the murders, that takes place at Washington State University, which is, of course, where Bryan was doing his graduate studies. And a Washington State University campus police officer pulls him over, and you see BK arguing with her. Well, we're getting more information, more evidence. So a short time before the murders, at the end of August 21st, 2022, to be specific, there is now BodyCam that has been released showing him, BK, being stopped on the Pullman-Moscow highway.
Hey there. I stopped you going a little fast. You didn't realize this is 35?
So it's 35?
It is, yeah. So you go. Yeah, 43 is what the radar said. Oh, yeah. Do you have your license, the registration, insurance? Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you? No. That's no good.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You guys are absolutely no point.
Yeah.
You got the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a vehicle registration slip or something like that? Okay.
But I give you my insurance.
Yeah, this is your insurance. That's good. Thing is, I'm on a overtime shift right now. One of the conditions is we have to enforce seatbelt laws, and so to write you a citation for that, it's $10 in Idaho. Not a huge deal, but yeah. Be right back. What? Lights out 329. Code 4 George Strike, Washington. Last name Kohberger, King Ocean Henry, Boy Edward Robert, George Edward Robert, First Bryan, Boy Robert Young, Adam Nora, Middle C.
And 329 to Pennsylvania, valid 2024.
I'll be busy site. All right, sir. Here's your license back. It's here. Just an infraction citation. The only thing alleging failure to wear your seatbelt on the traffic stop. They said the fine at that's $10. You do have the right to a hearing on this if you'd like one. If you'd like hearing, you need to request it before September 8th at 8:30. Otherwise, they'll automatically be entered against you. You'll lose the right to the hearing. Just wanted to pay it. The mailing address there, website right there.
Yeah, I just have a question about that. So in terms of like, when you go to speed, that's obviously reported to your insurance.
I don't think so. I think it's only moving violations that go to insurance, or things that might put points on your license. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Could I get a phone number from you?
Yeah, why?
We need to put it on the citation as it goes to the court. Like,
just for future reference, I mean, I'm obviously an honest person. Right? I told you I wasn't wearing my safety belt. When people lie to you about that, say I lied to you about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just my own knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You honestly go back and look at that and just
With a seatbelt like this, I didn't check as I was coming up, so that's why I asked you. I should. I noticed you weren't wearing it, and I'm on this emphasis, and like I said, I'm getting paid by ICD, and they want us to enforce the seatbelt law, so I was being more aware of that. That's where I'm coming from. Okay. All right. Have a good night.
In the trial, had it gone to trial, prosecutors, specifically Bill Thompson of Latah County, planned to use this body cam footage to establish BK's identity, to confirm that he in fact owned the white Hyundai Elantra, which everyone was looking for in the days after the crime, and to tie him to the crime route used months later when the murders were committed. We're also getting some information about BK's very first police interview conducted at 2 a.m. in Pennsylvania shortly after his arrest, which came 7 weeks roughly after the murders. And in that interview, he discusses his PhD program, talks about driving cross country with his father when he was stopped twice. Both those stops, by the way, were for driving too close to the car in front of him. At the time, people thought, well, the FBI was just following him and came up with a reason to pull him over. The FBI still claims that was not the case. It just happened to be two isolated incidences. So we'll take the FBI's word on that, at least for now. But he also talked to police officers in his first interview about God, about nature, about skepticism, all a little odd, if you ask me, for a first police interview. And when told why they were there, BK replied, I think I would need a lawyer. I think I would need a lawyer. So he asked for a lawyer in the interview, then was promptly stopped, as is the law. Olivia Goncalves, sort of the heroine of the sentencing. She has spoken out since. She's talked to ABC News and a few other media outlets. She gave, as you'll recall, that scathing victim impact statement. We found out from Dr. Ann Burgess, the woman who helped create the science of profiling, who was on our show. She broke the news that the Goncalves family had actually reached out to her and some other well-known profilers in the field to get their advice about how to get under the skin of BK. And it appears it worked, because Olivia Goncalves went up there like a bat out of hell. It was a staring contest. She looked dead into the back of BK's eyes and said, and I quote here, "You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser. You aren't special or deep." She maintained eye contact the entire time and told ABC News's Kana Whitworth, she said to her, "I was prepared to be arrested." She asked him, what was the second weapon that you used on Kaylee? Trying to, in a sense, she turned some of those questions from the questionnaire he had as a graduate student at DeSales University. She flipped the script on BK and started asking him some of the same questions that he was putting out to potential students or fellow students of his. Investigators say they still don't know what caused horizontal wounds on Kaylee's body. Of course, the now famous last line of her victim impact statement, she said, Olivia Goncalves did, "If you hadn't attacked her in her sleep, Kaylee would have kicked your effing ass." And she used the effing word. Got to tell you, sitting in that gallery for that victim impact statement, and it seems like a lifetime ago already, but some are saying, well, that's not appropriate talk for a courtroom. Well, let me tell you, if you have a family member that is murdered in the way that Kaylee was murdered, I think anything is game, and they could have gone way over the top. Her younger sister spoke through the mother, Christy Goncalves, And that younger sister, as you'll recall, made a comment to the effect of, you may have gotten all A's in school, but in the big house, you're going to be getting big D's. And I'll let you figure out what that stands for, but it does rhyme with Rick's. I'll tell you that. I'll give you a clue. Christy Goncalves, back to the mother of Kaylee Goncalves, we've also learned was threatened by an alleged BK fan. That's how twisted and sick and depraved this story has become. We're learning that during sentencing, Kaylee's mom received a chilling text during the actual sentencing. Now, where I was sitting, which was with a completely unobstructed view of BK, his mother, and his sister, right to my right, I could see Steve and Olivia Goncalves. They were sitting together. I didn't really see Christy, so I don't know if she's on the other side of Steve, but Steve Goncalves was there texting on his phone, looking at his phone. I don't know if he was going over the victim impact statement. He also had a very, very wildly restless right leg. Looked like, obviously, from nerves, the tension of the moment, but he was shaking that right leg wildly. But apparently, while all this was going on, and maybe this is what he was dealing with part of the time, we learned that Kaylee's mom, Christy, received a text, and it said, and I read here, "I am sitting near you in court. I've given your address to a wannabe serial killer in Moscow." And the sender, whoever sent that text, claimed ties to Dennis Rader, a.k.a. the BTK serial killer, as well as other serial killers. And Steve Goncalves confirmed this to News Nation, that this happened and that police are, in fact, investigating. And he went on to say, look, part of the reason this happened is because of the secrecy of the plea deal that was put in place. He believes it has helped embolden online supporters of BK. It's hard to even say that phrase, because who would support a killer of 4 people? But it is a twisted, depraved world, and there are people out there who seemingly are rooting for the killer of these University of Idaho students. Another thing that we are seeing visually now, we got glimpses of it before, but a little more context. The FBI's 3D model of 1122 King Road, which is where the murders took place. It is a 35-inch by 48-inch by 52-inch mock-up of 1122 King Road. It was done ahead of trial. The judge had approved its use for demonstrative purposes, but not as evidence. So not as evidence, but for demonstrative purposes. The defense had already objected, filing an earlier motion saying it was a quote-unquote unfair surprise that could mislead jurors. The actual house, as you know, was actually razed, R-A-Z-E-D, demolished, back in December of 2023, nearly a year after BK's arrest. There was a lot of controversy over that. If you recall the Alec Murdaugh trial, there was a juror field trip to the Murdaugh's home. And in this case, there was no field trip to be had because the house was destroyed. But the FBI had built this 3-dimensional rendering, hoping that at least the jurors could look at that. The home, though, on 1122 King Road, no more. Now, aside from Olivia Goncalves and actually many others, including Ben Mogen and Xana Kernodle's stepfather, who threatened to take BK out into the woods, one of the other people who really pulled at everyone's heartstrings was the surviving roommate, Dylan Mortensen, whose name we weren't really using, at least not on this show. But she had a difficult time, such a difficult time at sentencing that she couldn't even stand up. She had to sit down the entire time, and she basically lambasted BK, telling him that he had destroyed not only the deceased victims' lives, but the living victims' lives as well. And obviously, DM in need of a lot of therapy, which she is getting, thankfully. She lives right there in Boise, just about 5 to 10 minutes away, I'm told, from the Ada County Courthouse. So she's going to be reminded of this over and over, whether she wants to or not. Well, a GoFundMe has been started by her aunts, her aunts, to help get money for her for this help. They raised over $50,000. in a 48-hour period. They want to help her with relocation, long-term trauma therapy, security and privacy. Both Dylan and her other surviving roommate, Bethany Funk, they've faced a lot of online hate, unjustifiably, I should say, and death threats for nearly 3 years. So imagine you go through this. They explained at the sentencing about how discombobulated and disoriented they were at the time, being young students. They were drinking. They didn't really know what was going on. It took them a while to call police, but none of us should be victim shaming, that is for sure. So that her aunts, however you pronounce it, have started to GoFundMe. And one of the most important things, as I said, is to help her relocate. I don't think she's going to be able to stay in that area. Just to show you how small Boise is, I was out to dinner one night at a local restaurant, and the hostess who seated us, turned out she started talking to us, and she was friends with Jack Showalter, the guy a lot of people thought committed this crime, and said that he's absolutely devastated. He was part of the crew, that he also lives in Boise. He couldn't finish school because of the, all the pain, the suffering, the trauma that he has endured, and dropped out of school and is just working and trying to get by. So the ripple effect for these victims is really quite incredible. That was Jack Showalter, a friend. And this hostess who happened to seat us, she is his best friend and was talking about it. And again, it just goes to show you what a small state Idaho is, where everybody knows everybody, particularly Boise. By the way, the sort of the tagline for Boise, in Portland, it's keep Portland weird. In Boise, it is keep Boise kind. And everyone there, super kind, respectful, just a beautiful city. I can't say enough good things about it. Another thing we're learning about is BK's strip club habits. Apparently back in Pennsylvania, police documents reveal that they got a tip from a woman who dances at a gentleman's club. She had told police that BK had once come in and told her, this dancer, this exotic dancer, that he wanted to, quote unquote, kill people during a private dance. He made her maintain eye contact and asked where she had lived and where she parked. After the fact, this dancer was so concerned, she told bouncers to keep an eye on him. And then after his arrest, she was like, whoa, I know that guy. She recognized him and knew that that was the same guy who was forcing her to maintain eye contact during his arrest. A little bit more about Xana Kernodle's final moments. Police documents and evidence show that she suffered 50-plus stab wounds, mostly defensive, and was likely the only victim awake when BK reached the second floor. Ethan Chapin, they say, was asleep in his bed. He was stabbed shortly thereafter with some gruesome markings left in his leg. From inside the Latah County Jail, we learned from fellow inmates that BK was obsessive with his hygiene. He's going to have a tough time at the IMSI, which was not the cleanest facility in the world, that he has to wash his hands constantly, that he likes to pace at night. Some inmates did describe him as, quote unquote, the smartest guy in jail, but incredibly, quote unquote, socially odd, and that he became aggressive only one time. And that's when the other inmates in the jail were watching a football game and they started yelling at the player. And BK jumps up and said, are you talking about me or my mother? Because he was on a video call with his mom and he got all defensive. So it must have been freaky for the inmates to have a guy who was in custody on 4 counts of murder then flip out over a football game, misunderstanding what you had said. There was a chain of custody scare back in January of 2025. A refrigerator that was storing swabs, hair, and blood evidence failed. Samples included what may have been BK's buccal swab. However, authorities said that DNA was not impacted and that ultimately the freezer where his stuff was unaffected, but it did raise some red flags and some concern. Lastly, well, not lastly, but close to lastly here, BK's classmates at DeSales University. That's where Dr. Catherine Ramsland, who studied BTK, where she taught BK. Classmates of his said that BK was unusually interested in a guy named Elliot Rodger, Rodger. He was a 2014 quote unquote incel mass murderer who left behind a misogynistic manifesto. According to the fellow students, BK did not even come close to flinching discussing this guy, Elliot Rodger's crimes. He too was reported for stalking and inappropriate behavior. A criminology professor described incel ideology as a quote unquote uniquely dangerous form of misogyny. So we also remember Papa Rogers, this online figure who spelled his name Rodgers, like this guy Elliot Rodger. However, at the press conference after the sentencing, authorities went on to say that they could not find any evidence linking Papa Rogers to BK. Now, that's not to say it wasn't him. They just could not find the evidence linking him. A teaching assistant talked about some red flags post murders. One TA telling police that BK became overly talkative after the murders, that he made repeated comments about quote unquote needing a girlfriend. And he had also had visible scratches and bruised knuckles, claiming it was from a car accident, which is a sickening thought. So bruised knuckles, scratches. He went on to say that it was from a car accident. Now we know the truth. Last but not least, there have been some legacy foundations from both victims' families and others. One of them, of course, is Ethan Chapin's family. They started Ethan Smile Foundation, which are going to be used for scholarships for students in the Northwest. That is Ethan's Smile Foundation. And then you've got Made with Kindness Foundation. Made with Kindness Foundation. Those were programs promoting student safety in memory of Kaylee, Maddie, and Xana. Programs promoting safety for students in memory of Kaylee, Maddie, and Xana. So from the moment he was pulled over in Moscow to the day he faced his victims' families in court, BK has tried to dodge the truth, but the truth has finally caught up to him. The family's never blinking. In the end, justice catching up. BK, have a nice life as simply a number in the IMSI. Thank you all for being here for this. Appreciate it. Look out for more videos. Like, subscribe, and check us out. Weeknights, we do a live panel show every night of the week, Surviving the Survivor, with the best guests in all of true crime. Love you, America. Love you, Moscow. Love you, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. We will never forget you.